Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidyat Ravitam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So who has come in? What's your name? Our new person.
Yeah, my name is Maurice.
Maurice, welcome. So let's go around and share our names so we all know each other. I'm Jim.
I'm Deepa.
Daniel. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome. How did you find us?
On Meetup.
Oh, great. Great. Are you familiar with this text at all, the Bhagavad Gita?
Yes.
If you want to follow along with a copy of the book, we have it here. Would you like one?
Yes.
Would you grab one?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
He knows it all by heart.
I'm legally blind, so the Lord has brought me people who can chant much better than I ever could. So where are we in our text? We're in the 5th chapter. What verse are we on?
Number 23.
Chapter 5, number 23. You got it, Deepa? And why don't you help Morris? Is it Maurice or Morris?
Maurice.
Maurice, with the page number.
It's 383 in my book, but you guys got a different page number.
383.
Yeah. What verse was it? 4?
Chapter 5,
23?
verse,
Yeah.
what did he say, 24?
23.
Page number.
23, chapter 5, verse 23.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So would you start, please, Deepa?
Sure.
Shaknoti heva yasodum prakshariri vimokshanat gram krododbhavam vegamsa yuktasa sukhi nara. He who is able, while still here in this world, to withstand, before the liberation from the body, the impulse born out of desire and anger, he is a yogi, he is a happy man.
Yes. So the idea here that he's been working on, 2 big ideas. This sama drishta, this equality of vision, where we stand back, adopt the sakshi bhav, the attitude of the witness. And so as we stand and are able to watch the mind's reactions to conducive and non-conducive situations, You just let them be. If we're grieving, we weep. But we don't necessarily need to act on those impulses. Anger may arrive, you're aware. Just don't do something, stand there. And Swamiji always used to say the way to heal the mind is to get out of the mind. Stand back in the viewpoint of the witness. Remembering, I am that Sakshi, the witness, always. I am Chirakash, the space of pure awareness. So in this very life, in this very body, it's called being Jivan Mukta, liberated while alive. We can have this shift in our identification away from the personality, the person, the Jiva Bhavana, to this ground of being and get rooted in it, being Sthita Prajna, like what he said in the second chapter. Then this is that which keeps from us from needing to be reborn again into the world of becoming with all its inherent finitude and sorrows. Easy to say, not necessarily easy to do. Any thoughts on this? All right, next verse.
Yonta sukontararama astatthanta astatthantara jyotirevaya sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhutodi gacchati. He who is happy within, who rejoices within, who is illuminated within, that yogi attains absolute freedom or moksha, himself becoming Brahman.
Yes, and he's used this word nirvana. Buddhists didn't come up with it. Yogis, the Hindus used it long, long before. It literally means blown out. So we have to think of the metaphor of the lamp or the candle. So the fuel for the flame is all my hopes and desires and dreams. I'll be happy when, it'll be better if, where I'm convinced that either I need to be fixed or the world needs to be fixed. That's what gets blown out. So the idea here is the happy person is the one who clearly understands, as Shankara says, Chidananda Rupaham, my nature, my form is bliss consciousness. This in many ways is just a rephrasing of what Lord Krishna said in the second chapter. When a person casts off all the cravings of the mind of Varta and is satisfied in the self by the self, then they are said to be a person of steady wisdom. Two parts. The yogi not only lets go, but also cultivates this atmanamana, this capacity to revel in the self. tasting of the juice of the bliss. Independent of the circumstances of the world. One of the hardest things for us to grasp is that worldly happiness, when I get attached to it, becomes suffering. Got to be willing to see the world as it is. It's always imperfect. Always. Doesn't mean we don't appreciate it, don't cherish it. But we can never hang on to friends, to pets, to jobs, relationships, children. It's all impermanent. Of course, the opposite is true too. If you don't like a situation, don't worry, it will pass. It will pass. Everything does. Any thoughts on this?
Hi, Jim. I have a question.
Yes.
So you were saying, okay, when we enjoy something, appreciate it, but don't get attached to it. What would be the other side of that? So if I don't like something, I can name that I don't like it, but then don't be averse to it. Don't be.
Well, I'll tell you what I used to do. So
Mhm.
if there's a particular problematic situation, I would take on the meditation, what if it's going to be like this for the rest of eternity? Now, what am I going to do? Well, the answer's simple. Let go of any need to change it. What do I need to do to maintain my serenity in the midst of that? And they're very simple things. Probably the most important. Nobody has the power to make me feel anything. That's one of the biggest lies. It doesn't matter what people say to us. It's not true about the self. Of course, what I think of other people is none of their business either. But as long as the mind holds on that the solution to my problem is either to change the world or change me, I will never have peace. Or what peace I have will be very temporary. So other people can have all their attitudes and feelings. They can say this, that, and the other thing. What do? Be good, do good, return good for evil. When we study Vivekachudamani in that very powerful section, the qualifications of a fit student, you've been making your way through it, right, Atik?
Yes, Jim.
And have you come across Titiksha?
Yes, I have.
And
Forbearance of the vicissitudes of life.
Yes. So what we do, this is the point of power. First of all, the way to really get deep into Titiksha is to understand karma. There are no accidents. I like to say we don't get what we want. And listen carefully. We don't get what we need either. We get the inevitable results of our past actions maturing. We're never, ever, ever victims, really. But what about abused children and stuff like that? These are larger karmic predicaments, but that's usually not what's afflicting us now. So once I understand, I have drawn this situation by the force of my past, I'm not being punished. Most of these past situations have been done in ignorance, or we develop survival skills as children, which we think are going to protect us, and they don't. No blame. This is just part of what it is to be a human being. But once I understand this is the karmic situation, what I have to do, the point of power is how do I respond rather than react? So what are my reactions going to be? Well, I think the psychologists say fight, flight, and freeze. Something negative comes, I may want to do battle with it, or I may want to run away from it, or shut down. I freeze. Those are all survival mechanisms in our lizard brain. But what the yogi wants to do, let it pass through. Let it pass through. So Shankara's very famous example, you want to have a mind like a wicker basket, and water is just being poured into it and it just flows through. So whatever other people say or do, positively or negatively, let it pass through. Now, here is a secret. Most of us are more than willing to try to let go of painful situations. Few of us are willing to let go of the pleasant ones. So, for example, if people say, "Oh, Atik, you're so wonderful. We really love you. You're part of our community. You belong. You're just the greatest guy." What does the ego do? Oh, yes. You lap it up. And then when, not if, because it will happen. How could you say that? How could you do that? You're a terrible person. It's too late. By then, we've already gotten attached and identified. Did that make sense?
Yes, Jim, it makes sense.
It's not easy, but that's the practice. Always. That doesn't mean we're rude. Oh, Jim, it was so good of you to come, blah, 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 blah. What do? You graciously say thank you and you drop it. You do not own it. I do nothing. I go nowhere.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
So for you, and we've talked about this in the past, you call it being triggered.
Yes.
So the thing you have to understand is nobody out there triggers you.
Yes.
It's simply the habituated responses of your mind to conducive and non-conducive environments. And when you get triggered, just don't do something, stand there. Don't run. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yes, Jim.
Not easy. Simple, but not easy.
Yes.
And this is developing this samadrishta, this equality of vision. It's essential for steady wisdom and peace of mind in the end.
Mm,
Now, it's very practical. So, like Deepa's a manager. I think we've talked about this before. What's it like having to manage people who are triggered all the time by the dynamics in the workplace?
It's both time consuming and emotionally taxing
Yeah.
and
Oh.
disruptive.
And disruptive. And what about those people who are able to let suggestions, criticism, direction, they can hear it and they don't personalize it?
They keep things moving forward,
Yeah.
including themselves.
I have a fellow I'm working with who's a nurse in the emergency department. And he's very sensitive. And you know, nurses by in general just don't put up with bullshit. There's no time to take care of people's feelings. And especially in the emergency department, people's lives depend on it. They're brutally honest. And this fellow says, well, do I need to develop a thick skin? Is that what you're suggesting, Jim? And no, you never want to lose your sensitivity. But what you want to do is not personalize it. It's not about you. Very important. It's not about being hard-hearted. That's not what a yogi's goal is. But you want to be able to let things pass through, not grab them. And the more we let go of this personal sense of self, this jiva bhavana, the less the opinions of other people bother us. Any other thoughts, Atik?
no, not at this time, Jim. This is very helpful. Thank you.
You and for all of us. This is real yoga. All right, next verse.
Labante brahma nirvanam vrishaya shrina kalmashaha chinna dvaidaya tatmana sarvabhuta hiterataha. Those rishis obtain absolute freedom or moksha, whose sins have been destroyed, whose dualities are torn asunder, who are self-controlled and intent on the welfare of all beings.
Okay, let's parse this one. So first of all, we have to look at the word sin. Is he using papam? I don't think I heard that.
No. Chinnadvaida. Shina kalmasha. Sheen means, I think, something lesser than.
Yes, yes. So the whole point here is in yoga, it isn't what I call juridical. Many of the Western religions have a juridical approach, meaning there are rules, 10 commandments, 613 kosher laws. And if you obey the law, you're good. And if you disobey the law, you have sinned and you have to expiate the sin in some way. It's kind of like cosmic traffic cop. This is not how yoga looks at it. In yoga, a klesha, an affliction, a dosha, a defect. I didn't catch the word that Krishna used here. I didn't quite, it's not one I know. Or a vasana. Papam is usually the word that's translated as sin. These are things that grossify the mind. It makes the mind thicker, more reactive, more problematic. Punya, on the other hand, usually translated as merit, are thoughts and actions that we engage in that serve to subtleize and purify the mind. It's not a moral issue as much as it is just what's practical. So listen carefully. We are not punished for our sins. There is no God up there who punishes us. But we are certainly punished by our sins. So, for example, if you go out with some friends to a party and they have cheap champagne and you drink a whole lot of very cheap champagne Friday night and you wake up Saturday morning with a terrible headache and an upset stomach, no God is punishing you. You're getting the inevitable results of your actions. So, in the beginning, we begin to do some thought replacement, endeavoring to make the unconscious conscious. We take a good, hard look at our behavior. There's a young man that I've been working with, and his whole family are devotees of Meher Baba, the great 20th century saint. And he's a Baba lover, they call it. Well, he was also for 15 years a really hopeless alcoholic. And he lied, and he cheated, and he stole from people. And completely oblivious and unconscious of the damage he was doing in other people's lives. Oh, I'm so spiritual. I went to Nepal, and then I went to a hotel there, and then I walked out on the bill. What's wrong with this picture? So in the beginning, as Kathopanishad says, two paths approach a person. Shreyas, Preyas cha. Shreyas and Preyas. Shreyas is the good. Preyas is the pleasurable. Literally means what's dear. Swamiji, being a poet, used to say the electable and the delectable. So we begin to clean up our act as yogis in the beginning. And the literature gives us some guidelines. I know both of you are involved in Raja Yoga and that tradition. So you've got the 10 characteristics of the yamas and niyamas. Can either of you say them from memory? I can't anymore. Can you, Daniel?
I can do some of them. Ahimsa,
non-injury,
non-stealing,
asteya,
non-hoarding.
Amanitvam, Madambitvam, Ahimsa, Kshanti, Arjavam. Isn't that?
I didn't hear you.
Amanitvam, Madambitvam, Ahimsa, Kshanti, Arjavam. Isn't that it? I think so.
Non-hoarding,
Non-hoarding, yes.
non-stealing,
Satyam,
truthfulness.
truthfulness, straightforwardness.
And then the niyamas are cleanliness,
Shuddham,
self-study,
swadhyaya, brahmacharya,
brahmacharya, yes.
which is continence, sexually being intelligent.
Yeah, or conservation of energy.
Yeah,
Can we look at the rest?
yeah, it's fine. You get the idea. These are moral precepts. But the thing is, when we do the opposite of these things, it not only hurts other people, but it leaves a stain in our own psyche. Who here has done things in the past that you regret? Yeah. Why do I regret them? Because they don't conform to these basic moral precepts. Now listen carefully. We cannot change the past, but much of the past we can amend. We can go to the person that we've hurt or harmed, acknowledge our wrongs. So like this young man, what I suggested he do, he did a trip to India recently. I said, go get in touch with the owners of the hotel in Nepal and offer to pay them the $200. Make an amend. Right the wrongs that we can. Sometimes we cannot. Clean up our side of the street. So these are some of the basic ways in which we can make peace with the past, not suppress it, because those things stick in our psyche. Some we can't do. We have to then just let them go. Then there are other things we can do that can remove the sins. So I've been talking a lot about becoming adhikari, a fit student. So Shankara again lays those out very clearly. Who remembers the 4 qualifications of a fit student? What's it mean?
Conscious discrimination.
Discrimination, a firm conviction in the intellect that Brahman alone is real and the phenomenal world is unreal. Nitya nitya viveka. And what's the second one?
Vairagya.
Which means
Detachment.
detachment or dispassion. Always remember, this doesn't mean being a cold fish. It means to take our emotional nature to a higher level. The root is raga, which means feelings, passions. Those of us who studied Indian music, what do you call the melodic combinations of notes?
Raga.
A raga. It's not a negative thing. V is the prefix, which is a superlative, but really means, it can mean the opposite, but it can also mean to take our feeling nature to a higher level. Our feelings are the flower of a human being. The goal of yoga is not to be a rock. What's the definition of vairagya? That desire to give up attachment, to all experiences gained through the senses, and the desire to let go of all personal identification, starting from the body up to and including the form of Brahma, the creator, meaning I'm a powerful person. No personal sense of self is real. Let it go, let it go, let it go. So Ati, back to where we were talking about getting triggered. If it's in relationship and people are doing or saying things that trigger you, what is it that gets triggered? Only my ego.
My mind, my ego, yes.
Yes. So Ramana Maharshi has a great, really direct meditation practice, Koham, who am I? But there's another one that I like. Who cares? Ask that question. It's always the ego. Let it go.
Okay, thank you.
Really powerful. Then the third is Shamadhi Guna, qualities of Shama, etc. There's a gang of 6. We'll go into them tonight. And the last one, of course, is Mumukshutva, the burning desire for liberation. But these are the kinds of practices that purify the mind. So when we have a pure mind, it doesn't mean in the end that we have a good mind with nice thoughts that are kind. It means we have fewer thoughts. A completely pure mind has no thoughts. How do we achieve that? That's impossible, it seems. We do it when I quit believing our thoughts. Cannot think a real thought. Let it go. So, how do I get rid of the water in the desert? I get rid of the water in the desert when I see it's a mirage. Still looks like water, but my knowledge is heat waves off the sand. How do I stop my thoughts? The perception of the flow of thoughts in the end is not problematic. It's only when I take them as real. Only when I take them as real. Now, in the end, to try to purify the equipment, the body, mind, intellect, is like trying to count to the highest number. You don't ever get there. I had lunch with some couple of my students and their family yesterday, and my friend's mother was here visiting from India, and she was talking about how Swami Chinmayananda, he took tobacco, he did snuff. It was really gross. And if you ever watch videos of Swami Chinmayananda, you know, there he is, and he's teaching and stuff like that, and all of a sudden the camera will cut to like the flowers on the table or the BMI chart. What's going on is he's going, it's gross, nothing. And she said, how can he be realized and do snuff? So he held on to some habits. Nisargadatta Maharaj smoked cigarettes.
He sold them too.
He sold them too, yeah. So it's not in the end about trying to be a totally pure human being. Yourself is Vishuddha. Completely, extremely pure. within the mind. Your attention. Notice who you are. Chidakash, it's like space. It is nirmalam. There's no dirt, no taint there. The truth is, you are already pure. So it's paradoxical. In the beginning, we work on making the equipment purer. It never gets completely pure. When the mind is predominantly sattvic, then we have the shift in identity. Oh, I'm not a person. I'm a ground of being. Aham brahmasmi. What's the next idea? I want to make sure I get all the pieces because this is a pretty rich one.
Those rishis obtain absolute freedom or moksha, whose sins have been destroyed, whose dualities are torn asunder.
Okay, let's stop there. So, the duality. Why do we call this particular teaching Advaita Vedanta? What does Advaita mean?
Not two.
Yes. In the beginning, I said, why do we call it Ek Sat Vedanta? Ek means one truth. Why do we call it non-dual? Who's got an answer?
Because there's also dual.
Hmm?
There's also dual.
Because
There's another philosophy which is Dvaita.
that's not the real reason. In the end, my direct experience is I see stuff. Isn't that what your experience is? Now, in deep sleep, I do not. In nirvikalpa samadhi, I do not. But those are mind states that come and go. In my waking state, in my dream state, I know stuff. Isn't that your direct experience? Yes? No?
Mm-hmm.
What's this stuff I see? So the deep teaching is not only is the self in me Brahman, but this phenomenal world. The names and forms are illusory. They come about like the dream state. Sankalpena, by means of imagination. It looks like two, but it's not. My favorite mantra from Chandogya. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this is verily Brahman. And when I begin to penetrate into that, really see it, then the apparent vicissitudes of the world no longer have the power to disturb me. It only disturbs me if I think it's real, that it's separate from me, and is inherently joy-giving and misery-producing. Dvaita. But it's not Dvaita. It's Advaita. Next idea.
Who are self-controlled and intent on the welfare of all beings.
So, as we are sadhaks, seekers, yogis, we work on controlling the mind to some degree. We have to do the discipline. We have to do the practices. There's no shortcut till we develop some discipline, some concentration, some single pointedness. But for the woman or the man of knowledge, the control is gone. When we've silenced the screaming voices of raga and dvesha, I must have it this way, I'll never have it that way, then the intuition can speak. And our behavior in the world is controlled by something very deep. This is what the Master Jesus meant when he said, I of myself do no thing. It is the Father within that doeth the work. Complete renunciation of that personal agency is karta. Then your equipment might begin to be useful in the world. You might do some good. Why? Because for the person of steady wisdom, the person that seems to be over there is myself. Just like when you're cooking in the kitchen and you may cut your thumb, you don't go, bad thumb, you have to go sit in the corner. You go, ooh. Because you as an ego pervade your body. There's no part of your body that's alien. So also for the person of steady wisdom, everyone and everything is beyond our worldly ideas of good and bad, right and wrong, just and unjust. It's all perfect. Now we see people like Ramana Maharshi. Even the wild animals would come to him. So what is the practice that's implied? We need to learn to love as God loves. God loves everyone and everything. God has no taste. God loves people you and I might have nothing to do with. But we need to learn to love everyone and everything. It all reduces to such a simple practice. Let go and keep your heart open. Let go and keep your heart open. Is that all the pieces of that verse?
Yeah.
All right. That means even things like the loss of loved ones. Or if there's someone in our life who's being mean to us. When the Master Jesus was being crucified, what did he say about the soldiers who nailed him up? Anybody remember?
Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they are doing.
You got it. And that's most people in the world. They don't know what to do. Because they're caught up in spiritual ignorance. they approach the world with fear and with attachment. And don't realize the havoc they may be creating. The human condition. All right, next verse.
कामक्रोधवियुक्तानां रतीनां यतचेतसाम् अभितो ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं वर्तते विदितात्मनाम्.
Let's wait till the motorcycles finish going by.
Do you want me to read it again?
That's fine, just the English.
Absolute freedom or Brahmic bliss exists on all sides for those self-controlled ascetics who are free from desire and anger, who have controlled their thoughts, and who have realized the self.
Yes. So the first place, realize the self. Realize who and what you are. Self-realization gives us what I call existential freedom. It's safe. You're okay. Nothing's going to harm you. Nothing can touch you. It also reveals to us where is happiness. Oh, that's my self-nature. When I forget that my swarup is happiness, my self-nature, then I start to think it's people, places, things, and conditions, and I got to go run after them. And that's what hurts. What does it feel like to want something you don't have? Kama, craving. It takes the form of raga. I must, I want, have this. Or the opposite, dvesha. I want to get rid of something I don't like. Or bhaya, fear. I have what I want, but I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. All based on the notion that the happiness is all on the outside. It's all on the outside. What does it feel like to want something you don't have? Now let's set physical pain on the shelf. We'll deal with that. It's a little bit different paradigm. But that's not what usually tortures us. Can you find any other kind of suffering other than want something you don't have, or want to get rid of something you don't like, or you're frightened because you're going to lose what you got? Ignorance tells me I'm unhappy because I don't have it the way I want it. Yoga says I'm unhappy because I'm stuck wanting again. When I was in the ashram, I used to call my mind Buddha. Fool. There you are, wanting, wanting, wanting again. And the more I want it, the further away it seems, the more painful it is. Now, such is the power of Maya, that we hear this truth over and over and over again for years. It's not that we have a bad memory, it's just we got a really good forgettery. Up the window would go. Always, if I'm disturbed, no matter the cause, I'm the one with the klesha, the defilement, the affliction. I'm the one with the attachment. I'm the one with the expectation. I'm the one with the identification. That is absolutely axiomatic. And until we own our suffering, we have no chance of real peace. As long as I think if I can just play whack-a-mole with the world and get it all to balance out, then I'll be okay. How's that working out for you? All right, next verse.
It's two verses together.
Okay.
Sparshan kritva bahirbahyam ashvakshushve vantare bhuvo pranapano samo kritva nasabhyantara charinau yatendriya mano buddhir munirmoksha parayana vigatechhabhaya krodho yasada mukta evasa. Shutting out all external contacts and fixing the gaze as though between the eyebrows, equalizing the outgoing and incoming breath, moving within the nostrils, with senses, mind, and intellect ever controlled, having liberation as his supreme goal, free from desire, fear, and anger, the sage is verily liberated forever.
So now at the tail end of the 5th chapter, for the first time, Krishna introduces the practice of meditation. Isn't that interesting? So this is an important point. In the first chapter, the Yoga of Arjuna Grief, we identify what our problem is. I'm suffering. I'm suffering because of spiritual ignorance. The second chapter, Krishna gives us, I call it the table of contents chapter. He goes through all the main ideas he's going to cover in the entire work. Just little brief statements. And then he ends with revealing to us the marks of the person of steady wisdom, the jnani, the sthita prajna purusha. Then, starting with chapter 3, he understands that we are human beings, deeply identified with our egos, filled with desires and aversions. And we're not yet subtle enough to get much value from meditation. So he gives us preparatory practices. This is under the heading, the rubric of karma yoga. How do we act in the world? Because you're going to act. He has very clearly said, Every being is held into action helplessly by the force of Prakriti, by the force of nature. What can restraint do? I can't tell you how many kids I've worked with who went off to some ashram and decided they would try to be celibates. They weren't ready for it. Then 20 years later, they're all still stuck on the sex they weren't having 20 years before. Or people have desires to make money in the world, have a relationship, do this, that, or the other thing. And they try to suppress these desires. That's not yoga, that's suppression. You know what happens when you suppress this stuff? You get depressed. It's pressing stuff down. So in this great intelligence, yoga realizes, yeah, you got a heart full of desires. What are you going to do about it? Act. Go ahead. Act. How? According to your swadharma, your inherent latent proclivities. Go for your dreams. I've got a standard formula I'll say to youngsters especially. If you were independently wealthy and had all the talent and all the training in the world, what would you be doing with your life? Because those things are, I can't have, this is not available to me, it's impossible, yada, 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 yada. So we basically take the tamasic mind and we stimulated it with desire, move it into rajas. Go for your dreams. According to your swadharma. But, and it's a big but, do it in the yajna spirit. Serve the society. Do not do it to meet your own egoistic needs. I want to be famous. I want people to approve of me. I want my parents to like me. I want to be important. And follow your dreams, but you do it as service. You have a new employer, Krishna. You have new customers, Krishna. And then renouncing our attachment to the fruits of action. Krishna says, I am the karma phaladata. I am the giver of the fruits of action. All we get in life is the work. If you're working to make the money so that you can retire and take a cruise, you're stupid. Because you may never make all the money. Krishna says, thy right is to work alone, never to its fruits. Now, if you do these prior practices, you have a greater chance of being successful. So if you're not doing what you love, you're a fool. And if you're doing something you don't like because you think you're going to make a lot of money, you may not. But even if you make the money, you're going to take that money and use it to satisfy your animal needs. Food, sex, stimulation. That's not what it is to be a human. So we serve the society, renouncing our attachment to the fruits of action. And then what we've worked on in this chapter, our renunciation of the sense of agency. Guna and karma, qualities of mind and the force of the past. That's the agent. So if we've done this productively for some time, we will have exhausted vasana. Maurice, do you know what a vasana is? Is that a word that you're familiar with?
Vasana.
Yeah.
Vasana.
It's an impression left in the mind as the result of previous actions. It's the essential essence of our ignorance.
Is that no sanskar?
Similar. Comes from the root vas vasati, to dwell, to remain. But yes, like a sanskara, but the kind of sanskaras that bind us is what it means. So we exhaust our vasanas without creating new ones. And then as the mind becomes purer, we can begin to learn to meditate. Now, we have to make sure we do not take a verse like this one tonight literalistically. So let's parse it. So the first idea,
Shutting out all external contacts.
so we learn uparati, sense withdrawal, or in the Raja Yoga tradition, what is it, pratyahara?
Yeah.
So the metaphor Patanjali uses is like a turtle or a tortoise withdrawing all its limbs. The key to effective sense withdrawal is concentration. That's the easiest way to withdraw from stuff. So we have to learn that capacity. So if you're a person, oh, I can't meditate in my apartment, there's too much noise outside. Got to be able to tune that stuff out. Next idea.
Fixing the gaze between the eyebrows.
So it's not that you focus on that. It means bring your attention to a single point. In the beginning, we practice concentration, dharana, in the Hatha Yoga tradition. What do? If you've got a mantra, focus your attention on the mantra, and when the mind wanders, you gently but firmly bring it back to the mantra. If you're observing your breath, when the thoughts start to go down some byroad, you bring it back to your breath. If you're focusing on a murti, Lord Krishna, Lord Shiva, really want to make that image vivid. These are all various meditations in order to develop the capacity to bring the mind to a single point. Next idea.
Equalizing the outgoing and incoming breath,
Yeah.
moving within the nostrils.
So what you will find as you sit, that much of the agitation of the mind will present itself as the breath being stuck. So you want to breathe easily and naturally, low from your belly. Many people find that the breath slows down in meditation. That's fine. But it isn't so much that we're going to be controlling the breath. There are other practices, pranayama, where we do more specific things with the breath. The prana and the apana, the ingoing and the outgoing breath. Next idea.
With senses, mind, and intellect controlled.
Yes. So what does this mean? I'm no longer extroverted into sensory activity. As feelings and judgments arise, I just let them go. Bring my mind back to my point of attention. Intellect, the thoughts, the same thing. Bring those thoughts back. This is the final one.
Having liberation as a supreme goal.
Yes. So, after the mind has become quiet, and I can begin to see space between my thoughts. Who is it who sees the thoughts and the space between? Again, you will not see yourself as an object. It's like trying to see your eyes. It's like trying to taste your tongue. But you are not unknown. Is that all of the pieces of this one?
There's one more phrase. Free from desire, fear, and anger, the sage is verily liberated forever.
Yes. So, desire, I've given up all the thoughts, at least in my meditation, of wanting. Fear may arise, especially as that personal sense of self starts to dissolve. The mind, okay, let it go, let it go. And anger is nothing more than thwarted desire, unmet expectation. Let it go. So I don't become liberated. I see that I have always been that Chidakash, that space of pure awareness. I was always free, I just didn't know it. All right, we'll quit here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.